Alright. Today I'm going to be ranking the Jades in 9 souls. I'll explain the tiers briefly before beginning. S tier is best Jades in the game, usable in basically any build to fight against boss fights primarily. A tier is going to be excellent Jades that can define builds but aren't usable everywhere. B is just generally good Jades that can complement builds. C and D are going to be like Jades that you can use, but you would most preferably rather not use them. And F is going to be completely useless trash Jades that you never want to use in your life. So let's begin. This is Stasis. It costs 2 computing units. Whenever you use a talisman on an enemy, it gets stunned briefly. So Stasis is interesting. It doesn't have any major effect on major bosses, like, you know, the soul bosses. But it is very good against mini bosses and just regular enemies. I like to use it a lot with water flow because you can just kind of stun lock any enemy that isn't a major boss fight. But then again, it's pretty useless with against major bosses, so I'll leave it on B tier, I think. Mob Coil, it's kind of a similar deal. It's great against enemies, not so much mini bosses, but well, for example, you can use it on the Gumang fight, right, to kill the two guys at the same time, maybe combine it with Stasis. These traits are very good combined together. I'm gonna put them on B tier because again, it's great for crowd control, but you're not really gonna use them against bosses. Steely is a very underrated Jade. What it does is when you're detonating a talisman, you cannot get interrupted. You still take internal damage if you get hit, but you can't get interrupted. The wording on the description, at least on the English translation, is pretty disingenuous because it says that you can still get hit, which means you could still get real damage and die. But that is not the case. This completely negates damage and turns it into internal. So you're completely immortal while you're detonating talisman. You can use this tactically to get more damage during boss fights, and you can use it with full control to be invulnerable for a really long time. This is very useful, especially in a setting where you don't have that many resources to work with, like a speedrun. So yeah, I'm gonna put in A tier. It also has synergy with internal damage builds, of course. This is Pauper Jade. I'll put it on D tier. It increases your gene collection radius. It only costs 1 computing unit, but it's pretty bad. I'm only putting it above F tier because it actually does something, even if that thing is very, very, very small. But yeah, it barely escaped F tier. Honestly, it's a really bad Jade. But this Jade is even worse. This is Soul Reaper Jade. When you talisman an enemy that killed you, you can get your Jin and XP back. I cannot think of a single scenario where this is actually useful. Like, if you can talisman an enemy that killed you, then you can probably kill it as well. And it's like such a tiny effect. It doesn't give any bonuses, it's useless pretty much, yeah. this is Aberrant's Jade. It increases gene from enemies that you kill. So obviously you're not going to use this on boss fights, but this is a very useful Jade that you're going to be using on exploration all the time. In my first playthrough I didn't find either the Avarice or Cultivation Jades until the late game, and I had no problems leveling up, but presumably having more gene and more XP for the boss fight is going to be really useful. So yeah, I'm going to put it in on B tier, and same with Cultivation, which increases XP. Alright, these are the red Jades. Now we get into the good stuff. Immovable. This increases your charge strike charging speed when you're standing still. If you're falling or jumping, then this should still take effect. It increases the speed a lot. It's like almost instant. This Jade is pretty insane. It's the staple of charge strike builds, pretty much defines them. Yeah, it's an excellent choice. Yeah, it's great. It's great. You can use it on a lot of boss fights. Charge strike has a lot of range, and you can just spam this constantly to get very good damage. So yeah, I'm not a very big fan of charge strike builds personally, but I have to admit this Jade is just really good. I'm gonna put it in A tier, probably above Steely. Harness Force Jade. This is very similar to Immovable. I'm gonna put it in A tier as well. It's not as versatile, but it costs 1 computing unit. Whenever you parry, the charge strike you're charging, it gets charged up immediately. This is extremely useful in certain boss fights, and it can almost act as a replacement for Immovable. It's easily the best 1 cost Jade. It has a really powerful effect. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. It still has less versatility than Immovable. It's not as useful in some boss fights, and you get it quite late into the game, so yeah, I still think Immovable is better despite costing more. Quick Blade. You attack twice as fast, but you take internal damage every time you attack. This Jade is insane. I don't think it's S tier, because you definitely can't use it on every build, but it is excellent. You can unlock it pretty early on. You can unlock it before you fight any of the main bosses, actually. It's in the Battle Mines. And yeah, it's a really powerful effect. Usually there's like an animation delay when you attack with your triple slash attack, where after the triple slash you have to wait a little bit. There's like a cooldown until you can attack again. Quick Blade completely removes that and increases the overall attack speed. This is just a huge DPS bonus. It is true, you do take internal damage, and you can get to being 1 hit away very quickly. So that is a risk you can take, but you can play around that risk. For example, with Prefer Jade over here. So yeah, I think it's fine. Keyblade is very interesting. I think Keyblade is I don't know if it's better than Immovable and Harness Force or worse. It's tough to say. This Jade, every time you do a triple slash with your attack, if you have 2 key available, it spends that key, and it creates like a wave that deals 5 times the damage of triple slash. That's a lot of damage. it's excellent combined with key swipe. It's also a lot of key, so that's the problem. That's why you might want to use key swipe with this Jade. It's a little bit rough to get as much value, but you can still do it on the latter boss fights where you're pairing things all the time. It's a huge DPS increase. I think I'm gonna put it below, because at the end of the day you can still, it's a very expensive Jade and you can still just use talismans with your key until the very late game. But even then there's the spell styles that allow for more usage of key than water flow, which is, water flow is usually what you want with a regular slash build, but yeah, I'm gonna put it below immovable and harness force. This is health 5th Jade. This is useless. Whenever you shadow strike an enemy, it drops like a tiny bit of HP. That's all it does. It costs 2 computing units for some reason. I don't think it should be a 1 computing unit Jade. I also think it shouldn't exist. I think it's trash. But whatever. It still has more use than Soul Reaper, because at least you can do something with it on Prison, I guess. But yeah. This is Focus Jade. Very similar to Keyblade, but it's with Charge Strike. If you have 1 key available, it increases your Charge Strike damage. The damage modifier is not the same. Let me check real quick. Okay, so it's an 80% damage increase. So that's a lot less than Keyblade, which is a 200%. No, it's 5 times the damage. So a Charge Strike's base damage is 64 without Tower Fruits or Enhanced Blade upgrades. 3 slash is 40. So with Keyblade you'll be dealing 200, and with Focus you'll be dealing 116. So using 2 focuses, like 2 of the empowered charge strikes, you get less of a damage increase than using a single Keyblade, and for that reason I'm going to put it below Keyblade. But it's still an excellent Jade and increases damage significantly. You can use your key with charge strike builds constantly while pairing attacks, and yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Hedgehog Jade. Every time you do a precise parry, you deal internal damage. This Jade might sound good in theory, but in practice it's kind of bad. The problem with this Jade is that it simply deals too little damage. It deals 10 internal damage per parry. That's half of a regular slash, not a triple slash, a regular slash with no upgrades whatsoever, and it costs 3 computing units. It's pretty bad. The one use it does have though, and the reason I'm not putting in D tier, is because essentially you can use it to maintain internal damage from other sources like unbounded counter. But even then it doesn't do a great job. There's better ways of maintaining internal damage on the enemy, such as simply attacking them. But yeah, I'm gonna put it in C tier. I think it should cost 2 and it should deal 10 more damage, and then it'd be like a solid B tier. Reciprocation Jade. This Jade transfers internal damage when you unbounded counter to the enemy, healing you in the process. This Jade is S tier. I think it's one of the best Jades in the game. Unbounded counter is obviously easily the most powerful ability in the game, the best way to deal damage. You're gonna use unbounded counter regardless of your build. And this just enhances that so much. You can combine it with so many things, with quick blade, with steely, with iron skin, with key swipe. It's just an excellent Jade that you're gonna want to use in basically every build, unless you're doing hitless challenges or something, which then there might be better options for damage, but it's still excellent. It's absolutely excellent. And this is sparing Jade. It reduces the knockback taken on parries, on heavy hits. Trash. I'm still gonna put it above Healthy than Soul Reaper because at least you can technically use it on the Fengs fight to avoid getting knocked into the snakes. But I mean, what can I say? It's still garbage. A Divine Hand. This is also one of the best Jades in the game. Arguably the best. Basically, it allows for chain unbounded counters up to 4 whenever you unbounded counter successfully. It's an insane method of dealing damage. You can demolish boss fights like Lady Ethereal and Eigongs. You get it pretty late into the game. It's not very useful on G or Fangs. If you really want to try hard, you can do some skips to get to Grotto early and acquire this Jade before you're supposed to, and you can use it on Juquan and Lady Ethereal. It demolishes Lady Ethereal and Eigongs. It's an excellent Jade. Insane damage. It's crazy, yeah. Ricochet Jade. Trash. The damage increase is bad. Like, it barely increases damage at all. If you wondering what Ricochet does, because you don't remember it for obvious reasons, whenever you parry, you can deflect projectiles with imprecise parries. That's basically what it does. It's really bad. It's not useful in any boss fight. And it deals like no damage. It's trash, yeah. Key swipe. This is the best Jade in the game, in my opinion. Key swipe increases your maximum key by 1, and whenever you parry, you take internal damage, but gain 1 more key. This key is insane with basically every build you can think of, with Keyblade, with Focus, with enhanced Key Blast. The World Record Speed Kill actually uses it for the homing arrows with enhanced Key Blast. Yeah, the excess key is insane for dealing bonus damage. And yeah, it's just a lot more damage. The downside is actually pretty big compared to other internal damage Jades, but again, there are workarounds. You can use reciprocation or prefer or recovery or doing it hitless, so yeah, it's not a big issue. Swift Ascent, I think this is a very underrated Jade. I think a lot of people put it down in 8D tier, but I dare say it's bottom of A tier. It's an utility Jade. It's not like you're gonna use it on boss fights a lot. But it has some very interesting uses. If you wish to break your fingers, this makes you invulnerable because of the invincibility frames. And whenever you dash down, it gives you invincibility frames. So if you just jump and spam the down dash, you can just avoid any attack. It's really funny. But yeah, it's also good to avoid hazards in certain platforming sections. You can use it to bring yourself down and you counter against boss fights that knock you up whenever they attack you, like Lady Ethereal. It has more uses than it seems, and for one computing unit, it can definitely complement a lot of builds and be very useful. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna put it on bottom of A tier. It could be argued that it's actually B tier, and I'm a bit conflicted on that, I suppose. I'm not sure where to put it. I think I'll... Yeah, I think I'll leave it on A tier for now. Last stand Jade. This Jade sounds good in theory. Whenever you're below 25% HP, you get a damage increase. The problem is that this damage increase is garbage. It's 20%. Compared to other games with very similar Jades, like Hollow Knight, Fury of the Fallen, that's a 75% damage increase. This is 20. It's definitely not worth the risk unless you're doing hitless challenges. I'm probably going to put it on top of C tier. The damage increase is actually so low that a lot of the times, even if you're doing hitless, there's going to be a better option to deal damage, which is just insane to me. So yeah, I made a suggestion actually on the server to buff this up to 50% damage increase. I think there it will be a solid A tier, and I think this Jade deserves to be good with such a cool effect. So yeah, that's my thought on it. Iron Skin. This is pretty damn good Jade. Iron Skin, whenever you take damage, it transforms some of that damage into internal. I think the damage conversion turns 33% of damage taken into internal. This is excellent when combined with Jades that heal internal damage, like Reciprocation or Briefer. You're not gonna use it doing a more competitive setting where you're trying to speed run the game or get a speed kill or something like that. But for first playthrough, this Jade has saved my life. It is so good. You become so much more tankier if you use it properly, and the damage the damage reduction is actually very good. So yeah, it effectively makes you take 33% less damage, which is very good. Briefer Jade. Yeah, this Jade is also very good. It's one of the best internal damage recovery Jades that you can use. It completely negates the effect of Creep Blade. You can use it just in general for safety if you take a lot of imprecise parries, though the skill that recovers internal damage, breathing exercise whenever you precise parry, you can use that perfectly if you're not using Jades that deal internal damage. But yeah, this is excellent when used in tandem with Creep Blade. You can negate the worst part of it at the cost of 2 computing units, which it's a price to pay for sure. But I feel like I would rather pay 2 computing units than fight through the entire boss fight hitless. So yeah, it's very good on these builds that take internal damage, which is basically every competitive build, every viable build in the game, with the most powerful Jades like Quick Blade, Key Swipe, you know the deal. Alright, so next Jade up is what the hell is this called? Recovery, right? Increases your passive recovery of internal damage. It's alright. It's not bad, but I don't know. It is kind of bad actually. Like it's not very good. I'm debating if I should put it on D tier instead of C. I think I'm gonna do it at C. It has uses. you can acquire it pretty early. I think you buy it from GU, and like it's not bad. It's a little bit of a thing you can use before you get the really good internal recovery like refill or reciprocation. But this is absolutely no replacement for those two Jades. This is a lot worse. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Next one is medical. I keep needing to check the names because I can't recognize these Jades. I never use them. Medical, it's alright. It's actually pretty alright. It's great for exploration. I'm gonna put it on bottom a bit here, yeah. It's great for exploration. It increases your heal by 50%, but it heals over time. Again, it's very useful for exploration. If you're doing a platforming section that you're struggling with, like Sky Tower or something, this can easily save your life. Yeah, it's very useful in those situations. In boss fights, it can also be used to become considerably tankier, but it's a lot harder to play with because I'm pretty sure if you get hit while healing, it gets interrupted. So, I mean, if you're using a healing Jade, then you're probably getting hit often, so this might not be the best option for those scenarios. So yeah, I think bottom of bid here is a decent position considering its uses. The quick dose, top of the tier. Its effect is very minimal. It increases your heal speed, allowing you to heal even if the boss is like attacking you. It's a Jade that, you know, it might be useful if you're a noob, but if you're in your first playthrough and struggling with boss fights, but honestly, even on your first playthrough, you really shouldn't be using this Jade. It creates a bad habit, and like if you learn the opportunities, that the windows of time where you can heal, then it's basically an obsolete Jade, and you should probably learn that anyway, since that's where you can also deal damage. So yeah, it's better than Popper though, for sure. Bible, it's alright. I think it's like it's a B tier Jade. It increases just barely enough, just barely more HP than Last Stand, so you can't combine it with that. Like, Last Stand procs at 25 and this heals 26, which is really annoying. I don't know why they designed it like that, but yeah, it is how it is. So it doesn't have great synergy with Last Stand. However, it is a great Jade in general. It actually gives a few iframes. So if you get hit by 2 really fast attacks, you should be safe. You won't be safe from fire though, because the iframes don't last long enough to protect you from the fire. This works, so like when you die, 2 little droplets of HP come out, and then they have to come into contact with you to actually heal you, and the fire usually kills you before that happens. This leaves you at 1 HP and then heals you. That's an important distinction to make here. So yeah, that seems to be the whole tier list. These are my rankings. Let me know in the comments if you disagree with anything. Yeah, I think this is pretty accurate from my experience. So yeah, I'll see you in another video. Goodbye.